at what point do we get to the capitulation? Do you feel like we get to the capitulation phase? Like, what are you
Yeah.
anticipating for that?
Yeah, so number one, I don't think we're even close to that at this point, unfortunately, right? So, one of the things you look for, what we saw Terra Luna collapse in crypto. That was a big event, right? So you saw crypto really seeing some of these, but it didn't go to the extent where people started to totally freak out about their crypto holdings. So that tells me crypto still has more downside to go. And I even have a worst case scenario of 3,500, which would mirror the Amazon collapse in the dot-com era, right? So Amazon dropped 95% from peak to trough in the dot-com collapse. If you look at like Amazon, what it is today, and ultimately is Bitcoin that type of big entity, then that may be the foreboding for what we could see there. In the stock market, you still have people that are buying the dip. One of the key notes about when a market finally bottoms, it's when everyone's way too scared to buy the dip, right? So we're definitely not close yet. I think just at bare minimum, we have to revisit the pre-COVID highs. So if you go back to February of 2020 in the stock market, that's probably at bare minimum where we have to go. And I think that's just if we don't go into a recession. So just the tightening that's going on, the Fed tightening monetary policy, stopping stimulus, the government obviously not able to print quite as much as they were during COVID. I think that's where you're going. If we enter a recession, that's where you could start to see us go even lower than those levels. So one of the biggest concerns I have is that we're entering this new phase of the market where long-term investors are really going to struggle. If you look at the long-term investor, they've really been in control since really 2009. I mean, every dip's been bought. We've made new all-time high after new all-time high, and there really hasn't been a scenario where we've had a long bear market. However, I think now you're starting to get into that situation because the Fed is going to be handcuffed from printing us out of the next recession in a meaningful way because the inflation is going to stay too high. This is the Bitcoin chart. You can see we're beautifully bouncing off of the 2017 highs. This is the high going back to 2017. We bounced here, 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 and now we're retesting. Bitcoin may see upside to about 23.5, then I think down to 13 to 12.
Was that a bear flag on the bitch on the? Is that a bear flag on the Bitcoin chart?
Yeah, right here or here.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. So that is the only caveat is I feel like you've had bear flag right here and another one here. And so it's almost too easy to think that the bear flag will work out perfectly. So my guess is everyone's expecting us to break lower in Bitcoin. People are kind of feeling like that right now. So my guess is you'll have a little bit of a short-term move up, get a few more people bullish, and then we'll probably retrace to this channel, right? So this was a beautiful channel that price stayed within. It broke, and oftentimes what happens is you go back and retrace to that level, right? So my guess is there's a decent chance we go right back here, then we see the bigger move to the downside on the charts. This is all weird, right? Because the chart, you're right now it's a little bit more bearish, although it is a rounded bottom a little bit, which is not quite as ideal bear flag as this one was over here. But it's certainly, again, there's no denying that Bitcoin still to me has downside. And I would just counter that with, just for people out there thinking about it, there's been a lot of people that have said, oh, the lows are in at 17.5. How does that make sense when this is the first bear market for Bitcoin where the Fed isn't printing money, right? So this should be the worst bear market of Bitcoin's history because it's the one where the Fed's not quantitative easing, right?
I was kind of, I haven't been averaging into like the altcoins yet. I feel like the altcoins, I don't know which ones are going to disappear. I feel like they're going to go lower, and I feel like I don't know which ones are going to go out of business, which ones are going to disappear. And so I'm kind of very, right now I'm just touching Bitcoin.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the smart move. So for me, I picked up a little bit as just short-term swing trades. The only ones for long-term investments I would go near, for me at least, is Ethereum and Bitcoin. And the thought process is just what you said, is that we don't know what's going to replace which technology, which one, So like if you looked at 2 years ago, if you looked at the top 20 cryptos, a lot of those are no longer in the top 20 and they've fallen down. And now you have like Solana, Avalanche, which weren't in the top 20 a couple years ago. So people have to be really careful. I mean, it's okay to take a long shot with a very small amount of money and just roll the dice. But if you're really trying to be an investor, you need to stick with the best of breed in crypto, because I think before the bear market is over, a lot more projects will go bust. I think a lot more will happen negatively first.
So how much cash are you like keeping on the sidelines?
Yeah.
Because I know you started averaging into Bitcoin, but I'm sure with your expectation of it going lower, you're probably ready to load up back up the truck at some point, right?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I have different accounts set up. I have an account just for crypto, account just for stocks. Stocks I'm in and out since I go long and short quite a bit. I'm sometimes full in, then sometimes I'm only 25% in. Right now, crypto wise, about 33% invested in various cryptos. Basically I was looking for the bounce off that level we talked about, which was the 2017 high. So I picked up a little bit of Chainlink, a little Solana, a little Avalanche, just for a quick bounce here, as I do think they'll bounce up. And I think, we could just take a look at like Solana here, but I think it's bouncing up just a little bit here. Yep, just getting a little bit of an uptick here, maybe a small micro bull flag here. So I think, resistance around 35 is probably the extent of what I'm expecting. I have definitely in my mind the idea that once we get into the mid to low teens, that's where I really start to buy up more and more Bitcoin. And then I'll leave myself room in case it gets into like below 10,000. But yeah, definitely proper allocation is important here. When I say load up, I'm not talking about investing all my money, right? It's strictly a percentage of my net worth is allocated towards crypto. And at most I would have that amount in crypto at one time. But I do think for Bitcoin's case that wherever it bottoms out, that's going to be an amazing buying opportunity. I don't think Bitcoin's ever going away at this point. I think it's going to be something that we're with us for the long term as the digital gold. And so I'm eagerly awaiting moves down so I can actually accumulate some more Bitcoin.